Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. It is my distinct honor and privilege to have with us as a guest Brett Chamberlain, who actually also goes by Julian Chamberlain, who has a YouTube channel that has talks about a lot of what we're going to be discussing right now and documents his journey. But you may remember I did a video very recently about a man spending a silver coin at a petrol station, and well, he got in some trouble for it, and he essentially ended up suing and winning that case. So we're going to talk to him, Mr. Chamberlain here. Julian, welcome, sir.
Hello there.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir. And so let's just go back to the very beginning and tell us how this all started. It is quite a fascinating journey that you've been on. And so can you give us an idea of how this began and what led up to the trouble?
Right. Well, it all started, I go metal detecting occasionally. And I found a load of coins, like pound coins, 50 pence, 20 pence, just the common coins that people use from day to day. And they, people drop them at the fair on the dodgems and on the big wheel and stuff. And so I found all these coins, and they're a bit corroded because our soil's quite acidic. And I had about £200 worth. So I thought I wanted to do something interesting with them, and I wasn't sure what I'd do. And I thought about it for quite a long time. And I don't particularly like Tesco's as a company. So I thought it'd be interesting to use them where they can't be refused. So I thought it'd be a good idea, fill up with diesel at the petrol station at Tesco, and then go and put these coins on the counter. Because I reasoned it out that they're legal tender. I owe them the money. That is money. They can't really refuse it, even though it is all pretty, I did wash them, to be fair. They weren't still covered in mud, but they were pretty grotty looking. There are pictures on the internet and stuff of those coins. If anyone's interested, I might be able to direct you to them. But anyway, Tesco refused to accept them, and I refused to pay in any other way. So they phoned the police. And the police came down and said, unless you pay in some other way or fill in their no means to pay document, which says, I don't have the means to pay and I'm happy to come back and pay in some other way, sort of thing, they said that they're going to arrest me. So I was a bit fearful and under threat of arrest. I agreed and filled out the no means to pay document. And I went home with my copy of it and looked at it. And I thought, I've just agreed to something which wasn't true. I did have the means to pay. The more I thought about it, the more it annoyed me. The police are servants of the Queen, of the Crown. They swear an oath to the Queen to serve her faithfully. And here they are sticking up for a corporation and refusing and telling me to, not to pay with the Queen's money. So I went to the post office and got a load of brand new coins, and I went down to Tesco with my brand new coins. Now there's limits in legal tender, so you can only pay with 20 pence of 1p, 20 pence of 2p, £5 of 5p, £5 of 10p, £10 of 20p, £10 of 50p. Then when you get to £1, it's unlimited, and so that goes for any coins higher than £1 in value. Right, so I maxed out on the coinage and quantity within the rules. I went down to Tesco and I filled up some jerry cans, and I filled up my other car, and the bill was £135. And I went into the kiosk and he said, £135, please, sir. And I poured all the coins out on the counter and started counting them for him. And he said, he's done this before. He's that guy. Yeah, and he goes, right, that's it, I'm phoning the police. So he phoned the police, and the police came down, and he said, he's filled up his car with diesel and he's paying with coins. And the policeman said, that's not really a police matter, is it? I don't know why you're phoning the police because a customer wants to pay with coins. So I thought that was quite comical. So I kind of told the press about it, and the press were all quite amused, saying to Tesco, is it true that you phoned the police on a customer just because he wanted to pay with coins? That was all quite amusing. That's in the Daily Mail from about 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how it all started, right? And then the Royal Mint, they made these coins. Now I'll just go and get one. Okay, they released these. They released these coins. They're made of pure silver. They're quite nice little coins. Where's the lens? There you go. Right. I don't know if you can see that very well,
Yes, there
but
it is.
it might be a mirror image as well. I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yes,
Right.
it's a mirror image.
Yeah, it might be a mirror image. But anyway, just look at it in the mirror, right, and then it'll be right again. Right, now this is half an ounce of pure silver, and it's £20 face value. Okay, and the Royal Mint sort of sold these as £20 for £20. So you'd go on their website, you'd pay £20, and they'd send you one in the post, postage included, or you could buy 5 for 100, postage included. So I thought, well, that's quite interesting. And they said that they're legal tender coins. So I bought some and I went down the petrol station to Tesco. And because I've reasoned it out, it's exactly the same thing. They've got the same legislation as all the other coins, except that they sell them as commemorative coins. Right. Now, I don't know why they do. Well, I do, actually. It's because they want to make a load of money. But it's abusing, I think it's abusing the history of our country and the coinage, the responsibility to make the coins that they've been given. I think it's kind of treasonous to the Queen, in fact, because it's making a bit of a monkey out of her. She's saying that these coins are legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom, and they're saying, yeah, we're just making them to make a quick buck. But you're not, these are collector's items, they're not for spending.
Canada did the same thing.
Sorry?
Canada did the same thing. They had a similar program, a 20 for 20 series, and there was a quarter ounce silver. They also did 50 for 50 and 100 for $100 coins. So they did the same thing there around the same time, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's probably related. They probably had the Queen's head on them as well, didn't they?
Yes.
So anyway, so I went down to Tesco and they said, oh, we can't accept those. And I sort of obviously said, well, I'm not paying in any other way. And they said, look, we'll take them this time, but we're not going to take them next time. So next time I did it, they said, look, we told you we're not going to take them. We'll take them this last time, but we're not taking them again. And so when I went and did it the next time...
Is this the same petrol station, the same Tesco?
Oh, yeah, the same one. Just keep banging away. Right. They put signs up on the pumps now. They laminated signs, and they stuck one on every pump. But they said, sorry for any inconvenience, but we no longer accept, not accept. We no longer accept £20 coins. So I mean that means that we no longer exclude £20 coins, which is great. That means they accept them, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, they got their own thing, and it kind of like backfired on them a bit. So I filled up with diesel, as I do, and went in there and paid with my coins. And they got really mad and phoned the police and said, we even put signs on the pumps. And the police said, that's not a legal tender coin. And I said, it is. She argued the toss. So I've got, this on my videos. The policewoman argued the toss about it. And eventually she went off and researched it and discovered it was legal tender. So she went into the shop and said, well, it's a civil dispute. We're not going to get involved. It's up to you how you deal with it. But we're only here to make sure there's no breach of the peace. And Tesco said, well, look, we'll take them this time. But from now on, you will not be accepted in Tesco. I said, is that accepted or accepted? Anyway,
that's great.
So I kind of thought, right, well, it's heyday now. So I had loads of old coins. I had some £5 coins, and I had some crowns and stuff like that. And I'll explain those in a minute, actually, because there's actually a weird coin which is called a crown, which is 25 pence. So I got rid of a load of those, and that was that. And then I think it went in the paper, and it went in the Daily Mail. Police called after man pays with £20 coins or something. And Tesco, they always kind of try and do this damage limitation thing and say things like, for the convenience of all of our customers, we couldn't be standing there counting coins, and inconveniencing the customers behind him. And as it was, I went in sort of in the evening when there was hardly any other customers, so I didn't inconvenience anyone apart from them, and that's what they pay for, isn't it, to count the money? Anyway, so I went in the paper and they said that they will accept those coins. So I thought, well, that's great. So I bought loads of them, and I bought my fuel with them for quite a long time until I got sort of bored of it. Anyway, so after about 5 years of not doing anything, so it's about 2014 that I did that. The Royal Mint bought out some other coins, and I'll show you them. So they bought out the £50 coin, right? There you go.
Very good.
You see that?
Yep, I see that. Can you show the other side?
Yeah, sure. It's quite a nice coin actually. It's
oh yeah.
It's effectively a Britannia.
Right, with a back view, the Badanda Dunk, showing her rear end. She got a nice rear end.
Yeah, she's quite cute, I must admit. So this is called a Britannia. It's got a face value of £50. Now, interestingly, does that not mean that the Royal Mint is kind of like producing silver coins that have got a face value of £50? So almost valuing silver at £50 an ounce.
Right.
Yeah, aren't they? So
it's a very strange thing that they're doing, because they're actually pricing it somewhat above the price of silver. The 20 for 20 coins in Canada, the face value is much more than the value of the silver in it. That's how they make their money. And so that's probably what's happening is if that coin, what is that coin? That 50 pound coin?
That's an ounce.
That's an ounce. So
yeah.
In 2015, silver was much less than £50 an ounce, guaranteed. They're making money.
Yeah. You can buy an ounce Britannia for probably about £25.
Right.
So this is a £50 coin. So I mean, if you buy like a gold coin, I think what are they, about 1,300 or something?
That's correct.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe a bit more. I'm not sure, but they've got a face value of £100. So nobody's going to go to a petrol station with one of those.
Exactly.
And pay with a £1,350 valued coin with a face value of £100. But with this coin, which is a £100 silver coin, yeah, that's got a face value of £100, but it's got a silver value of about £50 maybe.
Because that's a 2 ounce coin.
That's 2 ounces, that one, yeah.
Can you show the reverse of that coin?
Sorry?
Can you show the reverse?
Yeah, this is the one that's been in the paper, actually.
Ah, the Trafalgar, yes. The Trafalgar, yes.
The best out of the three. They made 3 of these. They made a Buckingham Palace and a Big Ben, which were pretty ugly coins, I thought. Not very well made at all. But this one's quite nice. I think the lion is particularly striking on it.
Yes, it is beautiful.
Yeah, so that's 2 ounces of silver, and it's worth about £50 probably in silver, but it's got a face value of 100. Now, the thing is, a lot of people felt cheated about this because they bought their coin, £100 for £100, which they thought they could, if it comes to it, they could bank it or they could probably spend it because it's got all the legislation that makes it worth that. So there was this particular chap, this is part of the story, there was this other chap and he bought about £30,000 worth of these £100 coins, yeah, to get air miles, credit card, right? And then his plan was to take the coins down the bank to pay off his credit card and get free air miles.
Yes, right.
So I think the bank accepted quite a few of them. And then they wrote a letter to the Royal Mint saying, look, what's going on with these coins? We don't know what's going on with them. The Royal Mint sent them a letter saying, we advise all of our members not to take them back. So the banks all decided that they're not going to accept them, which means that, it makes it difficult to for shops and businesses to dispose of them. But the thing is, it's not a hard and fast rule because I've been to a bank before and they accepted them. Admittedly, they almost phoned the police first. But there's another video on my channel where I go to a Barclays bank and the area manager comes out and says they will take those coins. So, it's a very ambiguous thing. I've been to various businesses and they've accepted them, and many of them refuse to accept them. You know, and
But
it ends up.
under the 1971 legislation, they are obligated to accept them, correct?
Well, a lot of people don't understand how this works. Legal tender. Now, nobody has to accept any form of money. There's no, you know, if you run a business and you sell stuff, you don't have to accept any form of money. But if you advertise to sell something for a certain value, like fuel, right, and they say you can take the fuel first at this agreed rate, where you got to pay in pounds sterling, and then pay after the event, yeah. Do you understand?
Right.
Then they still don't have to take the money, right? But they wouldn't be able to sue you for not paying because you actually paid with legally recognised money. So it would be much the same, I would have thought, in any situation where there's money owed, whether it's paying a credit card debt or you know, like if you've had your car fixed and you want to pay, then you pay in cash. You can't say we won't accept cash,
Right.
because the agreement, unless they've got those terms and conditions when the agreement was made. But see, down the petrol station, there's no terms and conditions on the pump. They just say take the fuel and then go and pay in the kiosk. Yeah.
But if you were to
So
go in, if it was a convenience store or they sold other goods and services inside of that store where you have to pay the money in order to take them out of the store, that would be where they could refuse the payment, correct?
that's right, yeah. So, I mean, some businesses refuse to accept cash, especially during COVID. So they could just say, look, we're not taking cash. And you can't make them take the cash. You can't make them sell you stuff. But in the case of diesel and petrol, fuel, when you fill your vehicle up from the petrol pump, now I think it's different in America because you often have to pay up front, don't you?
Yes, you do. Yes. Most cases.
But in Britain, you don't. So you can fill your car up before you pay. And as it's measured out of the pump into your car, it actually becomes yours. And then the debt becomes yours that you have to pay. If you don't pay, that's called bilking, making off without payment. There's a specific criminal offence of making off without payment, bilking. So obviously their obligation, legally speaking, is to accept payment. So if you offer payment and they just refuse to accept it, and you've offered it in the legally defined way, then you can't be accused of making off without payment because it's them who's refused. It's them who's broken the contract and refused to pay. So anyway, I'll carry on with the story, shall I? So the Royal Mint bought out a £100 coin, and I thought, well, I'll have to try that out. Having done the metal detecting coins and the £20 coins, you know, and it's a big one. It's quite difficult actually to fill your car up with £100, you know, but you need a jerry can as well. You need a bit more capacity. So I went down to Tesco. It was near Christmas a few years back. Filled up with diesel, put my coin on the counter, and they said, "Oh, we're not accepting that." And eventually they phoned the police, and the police came along. He was a very wise policeman, this particular policeman. I'd love to have got his number. I didn't video it very well because in the early days I was quite nervous about it, and I just had the phone down doing an audio recording. But he said, "Look, we're going to seize the coin to make sure it's not a fake one because he said I've never seen one before, and then we'll take it from there." And I said to Tesco, "Well, I'll pay your bill when I get the coin back from the police. That's your coin." So that was that. Anyway, after Christmas, I phoned Trading Standards. And Trading Standard in Britain is kind of like a government agency that makes sure that trading is done fairly and squarely and within the rules and laws. But they're kind of like they're a bit lily-livered, you know, a bit cowardly, I think. But anyway, I spoke to them, and they said that I should write a letter of complaint to Tesco head office about it. So I did that, and I sent it recorded delivery. And to my surprise, they sent a letter back saying they will accept those coins. So I thought, well, that's great. So I went to my local petrol station, filled up with diesel, put my £100 coin on the counter, And they said, "Oh, we don't accept those." And I said, "Well, I've got a letter." And I showed them the letter, and they said, "Oh, well, okay then. That's okay then." And also, yeah, obviously, I still owed the money, and the police sent the coin off to the Royal Mint, who made the coin, to say is it a fake one or genuine. And the Royal Mint said it's genuine. So the police sent it back to me and said, well, they're not going to take any further action. I think there's some sort of little threats in there that I didn't really like in their letter. But anyway, so then I paid Tesco with the coin. That was it. And they agreed to accept them. I showed them the letter and everything, and they agreed to accept them. So for some months, I regularly filled up with diesel at Tesco Tiverton, where I live, and paid with these £100 and £50 and £20 coins. Yeah. Now, the great thing is that people sell these on eBay for about, well, I don't pay any more than £80 for £100. Yeah, and sometimes I've bought one for 60. It's probably the cheapest I've ever paid. That's the cheapest, and sometimes I get like the 20s for like 15, maybe. So it's quite profitable.
Right.
It's like 20 to 25% profit in the difference between what I pay. And then my mate of mine, he also used to fill up with diesel with these coins. He used to go and put like £20 worth of fuel in his tank. And he goes to Tesco and give him one of these coins. Then they'd give him £80 change, and then he'd buy another coin.
Right.
Yeah? Right. And then
Yes.
he'd go down and £20 worth of fuel in his car, pay with the coin, get £80 change, and then go and buy another coin. So basically, he was getting free fuel.
Sure. Yeah,
Well,
that's great.
Free fuel. It was like out the profit, wasn't it, if you like? So anyway, all was well. And I thought I'd try another branch of Tesco's out. Now, Tesco's got a branch in Exeter. It's a really big branch, and it's just round the corner from the police station. So anyway, I filled up with diesel. I've got a really good video of this encounter with the police. And I put my coin on the counter. They refused to accept it. The manager tried to say that's not legal tender, and I said it is, and he Googled it and then said, oh, all right, it is legal tender or whatever. They refused to accept the coin and said they'd phone the police. The police came along. He said it's not legal tender. He went off and Googled it and then came back and said, okay, it is legal tender, but they don't have to accept those coins. Now, the assumption he made is that it's true, they don't have to accept those coins. But the assumption he made was that I have to pay in some other way. I'm obliged to pay in some other way because that I have to pay for the fuel in any which way that they say, not in which way the law of the land says. So I said that I didn't think he was right, and that if they don't accept certain denominations of coins or notes, like a £50 note, a lot of people question in this country, then they should have a sign on the pump saying we do not accept £50 notes, or we do not accept £50 coins or £100 coins. So anyway, we argued about it and discussed it. It was all quite cordial, to be fair. But all the same, he gave me an ultimatum that I either pay in some other way, fill out their no means to pay document, or he'll arrest me for bilking, which is what they call making off without payment. Now, don't forget, I was still in the petrol station at this point, in my car, next to the pump. Anyway, so that's what he did. He grabbed my wrist, he took keys out of my car, and he arrested me and took me down to the police station. I was put in the cells for a while, and then they interviewed me, and he tried my solicitor. He's the custody solicitor. It's the police's solicitor, the duty solicitor, they call it. So that's why he's pretty useless. You might see it in the interview video on my channel. He's pretty useless because he's obviously wants to maintain a good relationship with the police because they give him loads of work. Whenever anybody says that I want a duty solicitor, they ring him up and he gets the work. But he did tell me that their investigation would revolve around trying to prove that I was dishonest in some way. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. I'm not being dishonest. For one thing, I got a letter from Tesco saying they'll accept those coins. Secondly, the Queen said that these are for illegal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom. The police are servants of the Queen, and should be sticking up for her rules and her, her oaths and her proclamations or whatever. It just seemed ridiculous to me that he thought I was being dishonest in some way by using the Queen's money. So that was that. Anyway, I got released from custody, and they investigated it for about 6 months, which was laughable. They kind of got a PC, which is like the lowest level of police constable in this country. They got a PC to investigate it and write stupid letters to the Royal Mint saying, are these coins really money? Are you sure? And things like this. Really stupid questions they were asking. Anyway, eventually they decided that the best way to deal with me was to tell me that I've been a very, very naughty boy. I was very lucky I didn't get arrested, but I will get arrested if I do it again. The only reason why they're not going to take any further action is because Tesco don't want to pursue it as a crime. And I thought, that's ridiculous. I haven't committed a crime. You should be apologising, not giving me threats. Eventually, she put the phone down on me, this policewoman did. So I complained I went through all the channels. So you have this kind of like so-called accountability thing where the police look at complaints, and they came back and said they felt it was a fair arrest and it was okay. And then there's another body that you can appeal to see whether or not your complaint's valid, and another body. So I complained to them, and they said that they feel it was justified arrest. So I thought, right, well, I'll take legal action. So I spoke to a solicitor. His name's Ian Gold. Now, this solicitor is probably the country's leading solicitor for dealing with the police. Yeah, he's very famous. If you Googled his name, Ian Gold, and that's quite a cool name anyway.
Yes.
He takes on lots of high-profile cases against the police. When I told him the story, he thought it was quite funny, quite interesting, but he didn't know whether the case had any legs, to gain compensation. So he thought about it for quite a long time, and he spoke to one of his other directors, and he said to me, look, the more we think about this, the more we discuss it, the more we think that you're right. That, if it's legal tender and you owe the money, then they can refuse it, but they certainly can't prosecute you, and the police certainly can't arrest you for making off of that payment when you're still there, and you're offering payment in the legally defined manner. So he pursued the case, and the police eventually settled with £5,000 compensation. I think first of all they came out with about I think it was like £3,000 offer, and my solicitor said, no, that's not good enough, we want more than that. So the police offered 5,000, or maybe we asked for 5,000 and they just agreed. But I also said I want a letter of apology as well, because they called me a thief. They said that they believed I committed the crime of theft, and it's just that because Tesco didn't want to pursue the case, that's why it's not being pursued, but they still believed I committed the crime of theft. I think that's an outrageous allegation to make to somebody who's just trying to pay with the Queen's money.
Exactly.
So the more I thought about it, the more it kind of like it interested me and also annoyed me. So the Queen proclaims these coins to be legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom. It's exactly the same legislation. I might send you a link so you can put it in the description. Where the legislation is in the UK. There's an official announcement made in the Gazette.co.uk where they proclaim these coins of there's all the specification, the design, and the weight, and the purity of the silver and things like that. And she says they're legal tender of payment throughout the United Kingdom, and that's exactly the same legislation as all the other coins. And I thought to myself, well, what does payment mean? Yeah. Now, some people say that you can only use them in courts. Yeah. That's because, that's the place where legal disputes get resolved. So if you had to pay something, the only way you're going to be forced to pay something is through a court, isn't it? And then some people say that they only have to be accepted in court, but they don't have to be accepted in court, do they? Because the person could just still refuse to accept these coins,
right,
and the court would say, you had your chance and muffed it. he offered to pay and you've refused to pay. Now, I don't even agree with that. I think that it wouldn't be able to go to court. You couldn't successfully be sued for non-payment if you've made offer of payment in these coins. So I thought it's quite treasonous of the Royal Mint to be telling the banks not to accept these coins.
I agree.
Right? And monkey out the Queen. Now, I think if you could cast your mind back 500 years to Queen Elizabeth I, then can you imagine what would happen if the mint that were making the coins with the Queen's head on, right, were going around telling people not to accept her coins, and then like soldiers or officers of the Queen were going around to villages and telling the traders not to accept the Queen's money, but rather accept the bankers' money instead, and then arresting people who use the Queen's money. Now, you tell me what would happen to that officer, that policeman 500 years ago if he was going around doing that.
Exactly. Tower of London, right?
It would be the Tower of London. His head would come off. I can guarantee it.
Yep.
So what's going on? Why has our country changed? Why are the Royal Mint making a mockery of the Queen? She's an old lady. She's 95 now. And she's not in very good health. She's been as good as gold, to be honest, throughout her reign. She's never really done anything. I don't think she's ever done anything wrong. Like Prince Andrew's been a disgrace.
Right, exactly.
Fantastic. Good as gold. And the coins are fantastic. We should be proud of our Queen. We should be proud of our coins. Yeah. And companies like Tesco, the country's biggest retailer, they should be saying, yeah, sure, let's spend these coins, bring them in, pay for your stuff for them, and that's fine. And they should be leaning on the bank saying, you listen. Now, don't forget, Tesco's actually own their own bank. There's a bank, Tesco Bank, right? I can't believe the country's biggest retailer, that's also a bank, can't lean on the Royal Mint or can't lean on the Bank of England and say, now, look, we've got to take these coins, so you've got to take these coins. Why can't they just change them out when they get returned to the Royal Mint? Why can't they just change them out for pound coins or notes? Yeah, so like we used to have these paper £20 notes, and they've gone out of circulation now, and they've been replaced for plastic ones, right? So in the same way, if these coins, got spent in the shops and went to the bank, why couldn't they get changed out to £20 notes, plastic £20 notes, if they've got a problem with them?
Well, it's amazing you mentioned that, because breaking news just today, the Royal Mint released on their YouTube page reclamation initiative they're starting with the old coins, such as what you talked about before, the crowns and the old ones that they've demonetized. They are buying those back for compensation from the public. And so if they're doing this reclamation initiative, then what you have just mentioned makes perfect sense. If they're taking these coins, which, by the way, those coins have a limited mintage of 45,000 for the 100-pound coin, well, there's only 45,000 out there. Sooner or later, they're going to run out. If they're spent and sent back to the Royal Mint, well, they're out of circulation. And so, yeah, great point.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, there's 45,000 of these, but this is the rarest one, actually, the one with the lion's head on it. But there's also the Buckingham Palace and the Big Ben one as well. Right. And I think there's higher images of those. But again, a lot of people won't want to spend these. Lots of people will want to keep these as collector's items. And many of them went abroad. I'm sure you've got them in America as well.
Yes.
But so they've made a mistake, the Royal Mint have, I think. They wouldn't do it again. They've stopped doing these £100 for £100 coin for £100 promotions. They made a mistake. Now, when a washing machine manufacturer makes a mistake, they have to recall the product and they have to fix it. Sometimes they have to replace it. Sometimes they have to take a bit of a hit and deal with it. But if you think about how big a business the Royal Mint are, with all the coins that they manufacture for all over the world and all the bullion coins and all the rest of it, it's such a small, tiny little mistake percentage of their business. Why can't they just rectify it and say, look, we'll honour those coins, that's fine. And then all businesses can celebrate the Queen and say, This is a great celebration of our history and our heritage. Let's accept those coins back. That would be a great thing to do for our Queen, wouldn't it? I think a great way of respecting her.
It seems to be, and that would be the easiest solution for sure. Yeah. Especially given today's news with the reclamation project. I mean, those would considerably fall under that. I would suspect. So yeah.
Well, I haven't heard about that actually, so I'll have to look it up later and have a read.
Just came out today. The news just came out today on that.
There's another reason why I use these coins. I don't. I'm not really happy with the way our country's going. I think it's going down the pan. I've got 4 children, and I don't think our country's as good as it was. And a lot of it's down to economics. So house prices are so ridiculously high now that the kids have got very little chance of being able to get on the housing ladder and stuff. And I think these are all results of the monetary system that we use in this country, which is called fiat money. I'd much rather use sort of this sort of money.
Yep, silver. Yep, exactly.
It's quality. I think a lot of people who see these coins think, yeah, that's a quality bit of money. And the new notes that they bought out, these really horrible plastic things, they're really difficult to count. They're all springy and slippy and stuff. It's like they're deliberately trying to trash money so that we just use digital money.
That's where we're heading.
They've done that. That's right. They've done that from the start. So we used to have gold sovereigns. They were the original pound coin. And that was before the First World War. And, because of the emergency of the First World War, they stopped using gold. We came off gold standard, and they swapped out the gold coins for paper notes. And by that mechanism, the central bank seemed to have stolen all the people's gold and swapped it all out for paper money. And then the silver was diluted to 50%. I think it was by 1920, just after the First World War. And then after the Second World War, they switched the 50% silver coins down to copper nickel coins, and they removed all the silver coins out of circulation. And then the coins which were the high value things, let's not forget, they became the loose change. The stuff that you buy your bread and your eggs with. Whereas the paper notes became the high value things, and then before you know it, the coins got smaller and smaller and smaller, and the pennies and the 2 pences, instead of being made of copper, are now made of steel and copper plated, and they just really trashed our money. The design on the latest coins are rubbish. It's like, some people like them, but I don't. So it's like a shield. Okay, but it's kind of spread out over all the coins.
Right.
So if you've got loads of blanks, sort of thing, and you stamped a big shield over the lot of them, that's what basically our coinage looks like. So each coin's got a little bit of the jigsaw puzzle of a shield.
Right. That design first came out in 2008. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. When you look at some of our other coin designs, like the crown or the florin or the half crown, or the shillings, going back to Victorian times. They were fantastic design coins.
They sure were.
They were fantastic design coins. I think those coins were a much nicer thing. I'd like to see that sort of thing come back, but I can't see it ever happening, as we know. But all the same, the Royal Mint made these coins. Now imagine they could say, couldn't they, look, we did make silver coins. We made these silver coins. We made a £100 coin. We made a £50 coin, £20 coin. Nobody wanted to use them. Everybody wanted to use contactless. Everybody wanted to use paper money. So you had your chance, people, and you muffed it. Right now, I voted with my feet, and I thought, right, I'm happy to use these coins, and I'm going to use them. So that's the main reason why I do it, is because I'm voting with my feet and using these coins because I believe in them, and I think it's a matter of principle that we should be able to exercise our rights.
Not only based off the law, but also because of the precious metals content as well. It's you're literally using silver a silver coin to make a payment here in 2021. Well, 2020 when this occurred, but I think that is what fascinates me. That was kind of the angle I had on the story, but obviously there's a much broader aspect to this, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, well, like I say, you know, we got the opportunity to use these legal tender coins that are made of silver. If you believe in being able to use silver and spend silver, then use them because they're legal tender. But don't forget, shops don't have to accept them. But if you owe someone some money and they refuse to accept legal tender, then there's no recourse in law to be able to sue you for not paying. That's what legal tender means.
Right.
A lot of people misunderstand it and don't understand it at all. Some people say that, you know, like, so this £100 coin, you know, if you owe someone £60 and you offer them £100 coins, they'll say that's not legal tender because you have to offer exactly £60 for it to be legal tender. I think that's not nonsense. You know, the coin is legal tender. The person you owe the money to, they don't have to give you change.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't coin being legal tender, and they're refusing it is, like I say, a breach of contract.
Well, that's great. Well, fascinating story. Julian, I appreciate you sharing this with us, and I'm going to put a link to your YouTube channel below. He has documented a lot of what he talked about in his channel going back 7+ years. And we're going to end this interview now, but we're going to speculate. Julian and I are going to speculate as to the figure that is painted behind him is Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. And so if Lemmy were alive today and putting on a concert, do you think that he would accept for entry into his concert a £100 coin that is made of silver? What do you think? What do you think, Julian? Do you think he would accept it? Heavy metal for heavy metal?
I think he would have a nice big skull and crossbones on his hat. Yeah, made of silver.
Yeah. So he was a silver guy. So I think he would take that.
I think he would like to accept silver as a money.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, very good. Thank you, Julian. This has been a great interview. I appreciate you taking the time to come on and do this interview. And I'll post a link to Julian's YouTube channel. A multitude of gratitude to you, Julian, and to all of you for taking the time to watch this video. And I want to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.